Hey, welcome back. This is Dave from mt.topliving. It's a solid 15 degrees out today. And you know I'm craving? I'm craving the taste of summer again. So today we're going to be doing smoked barbecued ribs in the Masonry pizza oven. So stick around and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Alright, so where do we get started? First thing to figure out is, what is an actual smoker? It's usually done low heat and for a long period of time, which makes this oven ideal for low and slow. Our dilemma becomes, where do we get our smoke from? So this will be my first attempt at smoking anything in the pizza oven. So I'll show you what I did, and I'll just walk you through my steps, and then I'll tell you what I would have done differently after the fact. So stick around until the end, and we'll see how these turn out. So the first thing I need to do is make these more manageable for the rack that I got, and that just means cutting them in half. And of course, every good barbecue has their own rub. I've got my favorites that I mix up here at home, and you can do the same. Or buy your favorite blend from the grocery store, and you're on your way. Be sure to fully coat the whole entire piece of meat. That'll ensure you have flavor throughout the whole thing. I picked up this rack at the local hardware store. This happens to be a Weber. I am not affiliated with them in any way. This just happens to be the rack that I'm going to be using today. So as you can see here, the center of the bake oven says 300 degrees. And people have asked me why I use this extra thermometer in here. Well, it says it's 225 degrees inside the oven. So there's a pretty big difference there. Okay, in go the ribs. So how I'm going to smoke these is I've picked up this baking tin, and I've poked some holes in it using a pair of chopsticks just to create some ventilation. Clearly it's not that easy when you're poking the holes. I'm just using this as a demonstration. And here we are going to fill up our tin with the wood chips to get started. So we're going to be lighting this now, and we're going to be adding wood chips for the next 3 hours just to keep some smoke flavor going in there. So here we are, 3 hours later. And now we're going to wrap them in foil and add a little liquid to them and place them back in the bake oven. Once they are in foil, they go back in for another 2 hours. Two hours later, and you remove the foil, and then they go back into the oven for another hour. Now during this time period, you really don't have to do a whole lot other than maintain a temperature. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly what temperature you're going to need because each one of these ovens is going to be slightly different. But after that last hour, I take it out and I kind of pull and tweak on these ribs a little bit to see if they're falling apart the way I like to eat the rib. And once I feel like they're ready, they come out.
And they've really developed a nice, beautiful coating on them, a nice little char. They really came out looking quite nicely. And you can't have ribs without the sides.
Okay, so the ribs came out delicious. My only complaint, if you will, was they're a tiny bit dry, and I failed to put a little bowl of water in here. And if that's one thing you have to remember, this is it's very dry in here when it's cooking. So a lot of times you're going to need to add moisture. Had I done that, they would have been perfect. Now they fell right off the bone. They were delicious. But I think if I had added just a little bit of moisture in there, it really would have helped out a lot. But otherwise, it came out great. Now this isn't going to be the same as an outdoor smoker where you're able to put tons and tons of smoke in it, but it does give it a nice smoke flavor. Usually an outdoor smoker has some way of feeding continuous amounts of smoke. And in here, as you saw, I was just adding some wood chips, and I just kept adding wood chips for the next 3 hours. I did use the 3-2-1 method, which is 3 hours of smoke, take them out, wrap them in some foil, add some liquid of your choosing, put them back in there for 2 hours, take them out, then put them in for the last hour, unwrapped, and they'll dry out. Like the liquid that you had on there will start to dry out, and then you're good to go. And that last hour is really personal preference as to how you like your ribs. If you don't want them to be falling off the bone, you're not going to be in there a whole another hour. So that was the method I used. You guys should give this a try. So like I've said before, you can use this oven for a lot more than just pizza. All you guys have to do is experiment. Don't be afraid of it or intimidated by it. It's just an oven. And an oven that often you're already heating from the bottom, that you don't need to do anything else up top. So I appreciate you guys sticking around, and hopefully you learned a little something today. And don't be afraid to experiment. If you like this kind of stuff, don't be afraid to give this a thumbs up, and subscribe so you can come back when I'm posting more videos. Till next time.